After a brief sponge bath before the sun rose, hoping no one else would be up so early, I hurried to switch my tunic. I didn't dare change the binding on my chest. It would take too long. I couldn't risk someone walking in on me, especially Prince Damian. Not that I would expect him to be up so early, but then again, he seemed to be full of surprises recently. Voices outside the door to the prince's chambers alerted me moments before it opened, and just as I predicted, Nolan strode in with Darren and Jared on his heels. "The night was uneventful, I take it?" Darren stood in the middle of the room, arms folded across his wide chest. He wore the traditional uniform of Prince Damian's guard. White tunic, thick vest dyed a deep blue, with the emblem of the Antian nation on the right breast. A jaguar, crouched on a branch, prepared to attack. "Yes, sir," I responded, choosing not to mention the letter or the secret passageway, or the midnight conversation with the prince. I trusted Darren far more than I trusted Prince Damian, but I had promised not to tell anyone, and there was a part of me that wanted to find out what was really going on before alerting anyone else to the prince's strange nighttime activities. "Excellent. Hopefully you are good and rested then. The competition will be held starting at noon today." "Why would I need to be rested for the competition?" I noticed Jared scowling behind Darren. His pale eyes met mine for a moment before he looked away. "Because the candidates will fight you, of course." "The tradition is to fight the captain." Darren nodded. "True. However, you beat me. Everyone knows the position technically should have been yours. If you'd been just a few years older, it would have been. The men will fight you, and whoever lasts the longest will join the guard." "And the prince?" "I've assigned Jared and Asher to stay with him at all times during the tryouts." Jared's scowl made more sense now. Everyone knew that he wanted the position of captain someday, and before I came, it had looked like he might be the man to beat for the position, if something happened to Darren. But then I beat Darren. While Darren had taken his loss with grace, although having still retained his position as captain probably helped, Jared had treated me with thinly veiled contempt ever since. And now he was relegated to being a babysitter, while I was given the task he probably felt he deserved. Of all the men on the guard, he was the only one who refused to spar with me unless forced. He didn't like to lose. "Kai and Jude will spar first, weed out the men, and then we'll have you fight the best of the bunch. Go grab something to eat and head outside to help Rylan set up the ring and get the gear together." I nodded at Darren's dismissal. After retrieving my own vest and donning it, along with my scabbard and sword, I started to head out. "Oh, Alex, one more thing." I paused and looked back at Darren. "The girl, the one who attacked Prince Damian yesterday, is sentenced to hang tomorrow morning just after dawn. Rylan said you asked. The prince wanted to make sure she was punished to the full extent of the law," I said, hoping the sudden nausea in my gut wasn't apparent in my expression. "I told him I would find out." "I'll be sure to let him know," Darren waved me off. I turned away once again, and this time he didn't call me back. I easily dispatched the first two prospective guards, barely even breaking a sweat, even though it was another sweltering day. Clouds sluggishly passed overhead, offering occasional reprieve from the relentless glare of the sun, but the air was thick with humidity. As the afternoon wore on, the sky grew increasingly somber, and the line of men standing outside the ring grew smaller. Finally, only two remained. "There will be a 15-minute break, and then the final two will fight for the position of personal guard to the prince," Darren called out when I beat the 10th man in under 3 minutes, knocking him to the ground with a hit to the back, and then finishing him off with my wooden sword pressed to his exposed throat. "Whoa, you're good," he muttered as he lumbered back up, stepping away from me warily. I nodded in acknowledgement, and then turned and walked